Hello, Matt Samudio here, and this is episode 7 in my series of videos on Slackware Linux. For this episode, I'm going to try to do a couple different things. I'm going to show how to install FreeSlack, or at least how I install it. And part of this is going to be, I'm going to show how to use a set of custom tags so that you don't have to, you can specify what packages you actually really want beforehand, and you don't have to, at install time, you don't have to go through and go through the menus or anything. You can just point the installation to your tag set, custom tag set, and it will just go ahead and do what you have specified there. In the process of creating, I'm going to show how I go about creating a tag set, and in the process of doing that, I'm also going to show some command line techniques that I think are interesting. It's stuff that I use a lot day to day in my various kinds of work. Basically, just some techniques on the command line for doing some neat stuff. Leveraging the tools to make your tasks easier. Okay, so let's get started here. I'm going to start out in this directory here. This is the FreeSlack installation ISO, and what I'm going to do, or what I'm going to advocate doing here, is let's start out with the stock set tags, tag set. So in order to there's lots of ways to get to that. What I'm going to do is probably one of the easier, slicker ways to do it. So if you have the installation ISO, let's go ahead and make a directory. I'm just going to call it. Oh, you know what? This needs to be done as root for a couple of reasons. So let's. I have sudo access on my box here. I'm going to change to root. Oops. ISO. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to make directory DVD. And then I'm going to mount this ISO as kind of like a virtual DVD using they call it a loopback device. So the way to do that, and this is pretty typical Linux stuff. So I'm going to use the mount command. I'm going to do a couple of options. That's what the -o is. We're going to loopback mount this on a directory, and you don't have to do the read-only option because it will figure out that it needs to be read-only by itself. But I just put it on there because I like being precise. All right, we're going to tell it what type of file system. CDs, DVDs, those kind of optical media, they use this ISO file system. All right, specify our ISO and the mount point. Okay, I can do a df here, and you can see we've got a loop device, and this is the location that we're mounted at. And then we can also see that's the contents of the ISO image. So we're doing good here so far. All right, next thing, let's make a working directory. We got that. Now, I'm going to start using some command line techniques here. So here's the basic concept. I'm going to do this in a couple of stages, and the basic concept is I'm going to use some commands that create a list of stuff for me. Then I'm going to do some I'm going to take that list and I'm going to do some modifications to it that basically turn that list into something that I'm going to use to drive commands off of. So a really handy, and my goal here is I'm trying to the first thing I'm trying to do here is I want to find all the stock tag files and I want to create a copy of them, or basically duplicate the tag file structure. So a handy tool for getting a list of files, especially when you're looking for particular files, is let's use the find command. So, and I'm going to look on the DVD and I'm going to look for anything that's a file, dash type file. This is going to find is going to not give me back directories in my list. It's just going to give back files. But I also want to well, here, let me show you something a little first here. Slackware 64. So in the DVD installation DVD, there's a Slackware 64 directory. Under there is the subdirectories with the I can't remember what they call them, but they're basically different categories of packages. And you can read about Slackware in the Slack book or on the Slackware website about what these are. Some of them are self-explanatory. I mean, this is all the packages for KDE. This is the kernel source. I mean, you can read about this yourself. But let's just take a look in one. Let's look in K because it's only got a few things in it. And we'll notice we've got this tag file. Let's take a look at that. Tag file. And so in this particular package set or whatever it is, there's only one package, and it's the Linux Libre source. And then we've got this little keyword here, and it stands for required. That means it stands for recommended. And that means that, if you're just doing the installation, the installer is going to rely on what you've selected. It shows you that it's recommended, but you actually have to. Oh, and I think it starts out by default selected, in the package list. So you would have to deselect that to skip it. So that's what these tag files look like. It's a line for each package with a keyword after it that says what you want to do with it. You can read more about that in the Slackware documentation as well. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to find all the tag files in the installation. So I'm going to do find DVD, the directory I want to search under. I'm going to look for just files. I'm going to pipe this to grep. Grep is a searching tool. Tag file. Okay. And that went through the whole directory tree under that DVD, under here. Went through the directory tree and it found, first of all, it found all files. And then I piped that huge list of all those files to grep, and grep filtered out everything. Grep is searching for tag file. And so it basically suppressed everything else and just gave me this list of tag files. Okay, so that's a real nice, simple way. These are the files I care about. Now, there's probably 100 ways to do this, but this is the way I usually like to do this. I notice that I've got a variety of directories that these files live in. So I'm just gonna do take a simple preparatory step, and I'm gonna duplicate all the directories that I need. Okay, so I'm going to take that same list, and this is kind of part of this technique that I use a lot. Is I'm going to string together a bunch of command line using the pipe, and I'm going to take my list through various stages, and I get to see what the results are at every step. So I do this incrementally to make sure that I know what I'm doing and I can look at what I'm doing at every step. It just makes it easier to do. So I'm going to take this list that I just generated. I'm going to repeat this, which is going to give me the same list back, but I'm going to pipe it to a new command. Excuse me. And I'm gonna because the first thing I want to do is I want to duplicate these directories. I'm gonna chop the tag file off the end. So in order to do that, I'm gonna use sed. And this is kind of driven by regular expressions. And what this means is I'm going to substitute any occurrence of /tag file with nothing. And I'm going to do it everywhere I find it. G is for global. So now I want to look at the results of this. So I'm just going to run this and see what it does to my list. See, it effectively chopped off the /tag file off the end. So now I have a list of directories that I want to reproduce, but they're under the DVD. I want to put them under my work directory. Remember, I have this DVD is where the ISO is mounted. This is my working directory that I'm going to create my stuff in. So what I really want to do is I want to substitute work for that. You know, my WRK for that DVD. So I'm going to generate the same list, and I'm going to go off the end, and I'm going to say, I'm going to do another sed, substitute. Let's just go ahead from the beginning. So I'm going to go, the caret matches the beginning of the line, a dot, a slash, DVD, and another slash. Whenever I find that particular pattern, I'm going to substitute dot, slash, work, and another slash. And then I'm terminate the command. And that's going to give me what I want. Now let me explain this a little bit here. So what I'm doing, this sed, well, let me go back to the beginning. Sed is a short mnemonic, or it's a short command. It really stands for stream editor, and what it means is you're able to edit a stream on the fly. So basically, you're piping something through the stream editor, and the stream editor, applies some editing commands in flight. That's what this is all about. Okay, so this is a command, and the S command stands for substitute. And the basic form of this command is you do S for substitute, and then something to match, something to match, and then something to replace what you matched with. So that's the basic form of the command. And that it's got the delimiters are these forward slashes. Okay? So that's basically what I'm doing here. And as I mentioned, the caret is the beginning of so this first section here, in between the two slashes, this is what I'm trying to match in the string, or in the stream. Caret is the beginning of the line, and then I want to match a dot at the beginning. Now, the reason I have a backslash in front of the dot is because in these regular expressions, dot is a special character. It means match any one character. And so in order to say I want to match a period, not just any character, I actually want to match a dot itself, I have to escape the special dot character. And the escape is the backslash. So this combination here, right here, means match an actual period. Okay? And then because my delimiters of the command are forward slashes, if I want to match a forward slash in my string, I have to escape that as well. And that's what this sequence is right here. It's saying I actually want to match a forward slash. I don't want to terminate this section. I want to match an actual forward slash. So I escape it with a backslash. That's what that all means. And then, DVD is just what it is, DVD. And then here again, I want to match another slash there. So again, I've got the backslash slash. Okay, so this is my match. This is the regular expression for the match, and it's in between these two slashes. So that's the first part of the substitute command. The second part is this part. And in the replace part, the dot, we're not trying to match anything anymore. So the dot doesn't need to be escaped in this section. But because slashes are still our delimiters between the sections, I do still have to escape the slashes. So that's what that means. Now, I know that was a long and drawn out explanation, very detailed. Makes it sound hard, but all you do is you do this just a little bit and you get used to it. It's like nothing could be easier. So this command here is what I'm running. So I had this list, just to recap. This is my list of directories that I'm trying to reproduce. I just don't want to do it under my ISO. I want to do it under my working directory. So I'm going to take that list, I'm going to pipe it through this sed command, and this is what I get. See? It did exactly what I wanted. Okay, so now this is my list of directories I want to create. Now I can do the real easy step of piping it through sed again. And all I'm going to do is at the beginning of the line, I'm going to put makedir-p space. Okay, let's see what that does to my list. Oh, look at that. So this is, now I've created a list of commands to reproduce this directory structure that exists under the DVD, where I mounted the ISO, but I'm going to reproduce the directory structure under my working directory. Okay, and I'm going to take that. So now I've looked at exactly what my processing of this list does. I've checked it. I like it. This is exactly what I want to do. So now I'm ready to actually do it. And all I have to do that is I like to use the K shell. So, I mean, you could pipe it to bash. But basically, you pipe it to a shell, and the shell actually just runs those commands. So there, I did it. Now, if you do ls work, you'll notice there's that directory. And now let's do that. And you see it reproduced all those directories. I can also, as a quicker way, I can find work. And it just shows you what's under there. And it reproduced all those directories. Now, this actually took me, I could have typed makedir for each one of those, and I probably could have typed all that out faster than what I just showed you. But it took me, this would normally take me like 10 seconds to do. It just took me so long because I was explaining it. So, and that's all of these steps and stages are going to take longer because I'm trying to expose to anyone that's not familiar with these techniques. I'm trying to make it really clear how it works. But just be assured that all you have to do is get used to this a little bit, and you can whip, I do this all day long. I whip this stuff out real fast, and it's just extremely powerful. And it's real fast and easy ways to get very complex tasks done. So, okay, so we've recreated the directory structure we want. Next step, we're just gonna, now that we have the right directories in place, we're just gonna copy the tag files. So let's go back to our list of tag files, which I can just look at the same command and remember this first part. I'm just gonna go back to this. And what I wanna do is I wanna use this list, and for each line in this list, I want to create a copy command. It's going to copy from the DVD tag file to the working area, the same tag file into the same spot. So, real easy way to do this. Let's first, we know that this is the part that we're going to use twice. We're going to copy from DVD at this location to under work at that location. So let's start by chopping the DVD off the front. So again, we're going to use sed beginning of line dot slash DVD slash and substitute that with nothing. Let's see what it does. All right. See? So exactly what I was describing. So this is the common piece that we're going to use twice. So now let's go ahead and construct our commands. We've got enough that we can construct our commands. So we do the same thing to give us this same list, but now we're going to pipe it through another sed, and we're going to substitute the whole thing on the line with copy dot slash DVD slash, and then, you know, the whole, okay, and let me explain this one. This right here is just the very routine expression for the whole line. Beginning of the line, any character, any number of times, gives you the whole line, okay? And I'm gonna substitute that with, got an extra space in here. Oops, there we go. I'm gonna take basically the whole line, and I'm gonna put it into, I'm gonna say copy with the dot slash DVD slash, and then ampersand gives you back whatever you matched. So in this case, it's the whole line. So I'm going to copy dot slash DVD slash line, the line out of the list, and I'm going to copy it to dot slash work slash ampersand. So this is how I take, for each line, I take the whole thing and I get it twice, and I put the two different directories on the front. Terminate the command. So let's see what this gives us. See? So copy the tag file under DVD to the same location under work, and it does it for each line. So I've seen what I get out of my processing of that list that I made. I like it. It does what I want. Now I'm going to make it so. I'm going to pipe it to KSH. There we go. Slick, easy as pie. All right. So I've made the copy of all the tag files. Now I'm going to, I don't need the DVD anymore. So let's go ahead and, or the ISO of the DVD. Let's go ahead and mount DVD just to show we unmounted it. Nothing there now. So all done with that. Okay, so now we're back to, all we have left is our work directory. Let's go ahead and CD in there because we're going to pretty much do most of our stuff from here on. So CD work. Let's just take a peek around and see what we've got. Should look familiar. That's exactly what we copied and created. So we're good there. Let's the next thing we want to do, let's take a look at one of these. Let's take a look at something like look at the A. All right, so this is the tag file. Now look at what this looks like. As we can see, a line for each package in the section, and then here's these keywords. It's a colon and then the keyword, and so add means, you know, just install it. Recommended means you don't have to install this, but we recommend it. And what these the way these operators work in the tag file is that the installer looks at them and says, you know, it tells it whether to select it by default or not. And recommended, it's selected by default. You can deselect it if you want. Here, this one here is another example. It stands for optional, and the installer, when it sees this, it has the package deselected by default, and you have to select it if you want it installed. And then there's another keyword, which is, I don't know if there's any, yeah, I don't think the default tag sets have skip in them, but skip, it's SKP. That's the one we actually want to use to basically tell the installer, don't even bother looking at this package. I want it skipped, and it will skip it. So what we want to do here is we're setting these tag files up. We're going to point the installer at them, and the installer is just going to do the whole install, obeying what we put in the tag file. So what we want to do is we want to have either add or skip on the packages. And you know, obviously we want to put skip on the packages that we don't want installed. And we want everything else installed, so we're going to make it add. So the first step here is for every one of these tag files, I'm going to first change every package in them to add. That's a piece that we can do in an automated fashion. So this is, you know, and this is the way my mind works. I mean, there's probably 100 ways to do this too, but basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a quick little command line, or, you know, series of commands that changes directories into into one of the directories, moves the tag file to a temporary file name, and then it's going to cat that tag file and run it through a sed, which changes every colon operator to add. That's what I want to do. And the way I'm going to choose to do this, rather than try to automate the whole thing all at once, I'm going to make one command line that processes each directory. So the first, and this is just going to be a quick series of commands. So I'm going to do cd Slackware 64 / let's just go in order that they're listed here. KDEI. And then I'm going to do a semicolon, because that says execute that command and then do the next one too. So after I've cd'd into the directory, I'm going to move tag file to temp file. Okay. Once I've done that, I'm going to do a new command. You know, I'm stringing these commands together so it does them all in sequence. So I move the tag file to a temp file, and then I'm going to cat the temp file, pipe it through sed. I'm going to substitute colon dot star with colon add. And G means global. It means do that wherever you find that. You know, to be safe, I'm actually going to put a $sign here. What this says is, I'm sorry, wrong spot. Actually, even safer. Yeah, this is even safer. So, I mean, just in case in the off chance, I mean, there shouldn't be any package names that have a colon in them, but just in case, this actually says anytime you find colon followed by 3 letters at the end of a line, change that so that it says colon add at the end of the line. And, you know, do that wherever you find it. So that's the sed that I'm going to do. So that changes the file, and I'm going to output the results to a new, you know, basically to tag file. So I copy the tag file to a temp file. I cat the temp file to run it through sed, and I overwrite the old tag file with the new results. And then when that's done, I'm going to remove the temp file. Okay. So this is a sequence of commands that basically does the whole series that I need to do to accomplish the global edit that I want to do. Okay, so I'm going to do that. It did it. Okay, and then I'm just going to do the same thing to the next directory. And the same thing to the next directory. Let's get our list back since it's flying off the top of the screen. So I did KDEI, KDE, and D. Oh crap, I made a mistake. I forgot to put the CD dot, I forgot to change. Yeah, and it I wasn't paying attention. So I missed a command in my series. It didn't hurt anything. I needed that at the end of my command. So let's start over. KDEI. After I remove the temp file, I need to cd ... There we go. That works. See, now I'm back in the same directory. So find Helps if I spell find right. Okay, there's my list. I did KDEI. KDE. Let's do D, Y, K. Do our find command again. Did K, do L, F, do N, E, T, XF, C, E. All right. So I hit every one of those directories and did the same sequence of operations. And what I should have, let's do our list here again. What I should have is every one of these tag files has all the same package names in it. I just made sure that every single one is followed by the add operator. Okay, so that's the first kind of couple of stages of the automation that we can kind of leverage to do most of this work for us. The next thing we have to do, it has to be manual. Okay, what we have to do is actually go through the tag files and put skip on any packages that we don't want to install. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this, right now, and so I'm going to show a couple of techniques of how to use VI to do some powerful editing, and you're also going to see the packages that I myself do not install, or I don't like, I basically choose to not install them. So yeah, let's go from the top again, and we'll just basically do it like this. I use Vim. You can say VI if you want. I just Vim. So we're going to do Slackware 64 KDEI tag file. Okay, so I'm going to edit it. Now, I do not install KDE. I don't use it. So what I really want to do in this file is I want to change all of the :add at the end of the line. I want to change them all to skip. So I'm going to say, sorry, you do : and then this line to the end of the file. And I say this line because I happen to be on the first line. I could do, I could do, and this may be the safer way to do it, 1, which is line 1, to the end, $, which is the last line. So basically all lines substitute, and this works just like sed does. So these commands are handy. You can use them both in VI, in sed. You can also use them on the KSH command line if you want. These are kind of universal that way. So I'm going to substitute : add $, with the skip operator. It did them all. I'm done with that file. Okay. Let's do the same thing with KDE. Same thing. I don't, 1 : $. I don't use KDE, so I want to skip everything. : add $, with : skip. 194 substitutions on 194 lines. That means it found the add on every line just once, and it did our substitution. It's kind of a neat way to kind of sanity check, make sure it did what you thought it did. So we're done there. Good deal. All right, let's go to the D package set. Okay, and I'm going to go to the top of the file, and what I'm going to do is basically just kind of scroll down through this file. Here's a nice thing I like to do for something like this. I'm actually going to search for add, and it shows me the add on every line. And I'm going to start just scroll down and identify packages I don't want. Okay, I don't want that. So I could just scroll over to the add, do change word skp, escape. Okay. Now I don't even have to type that anymore. All I have to do is find the next one. Might as well install that, but I don't use the GCC version of Java. So I put the cursor over add and hit dot, and it repeats the last edit I did. So that's cool. Objective-C I don't use. Dot. Done. Let's find the next GNU COBOL. I don't use that either. Put that to skip. So another kind of interesting way is I can use the N key, which says go to the next search result, and I can skip down the lines this way, and capital N goes backwards. And since I'm on the colon, I can do 2 CW and change the whole line to SKP. That's even easier. I don't think there's actually anything in here that I want to skip after that. So yeah, we'll have to go to the next package for me to demonstrate that. Anyway, so I cleared out everything that I don't want to install in here. I set them to skip, and that's all I needed to do. So let's go on to the next package set, and I could maybe show a few more things. I know I want to install everything in the Y package set, so I'll just leave that one alone. Same thing with the K. It's one package, the kernel source. I want to install that, so I'll leave that alone. L, I know there's only one package in there that I care to skip, so let's do that. There's no reason to install console kit. Everything else, everything else I want to keep there. Okay, so LF. F is the documentation and FAQ, frequently asked questions section. I want all that. N, I'm going to have to look. I don't remember if there's anything in that package set that I'd skip or not. So let's go take a look. All right, go to the top of the file. Yeah, I want to skip some of this. So let's go. We're going to search for colon, add, $sign. Okay. Now, this is what I was going to show you before. So let's say I'm at the top. I hit N. It takes me to the add. I don't want modem manager. So instead of scrolling over and just, editing the add, I'm actually going to stay on where the cursor landed, and I'm going to do 2CW, which means change word, but do it for the next 2 words. And it counts the colon as one of the words because colons kind of separates words. Okay, so I did 2CW, and now I can put in my colon SKP. So now all I have to do is I can use N to skip line by line for each, match of my search. And if I hit one that I want to skip, I just hit the dot key, and it will do what I need to do. So I do N. I don't want network manager. I'm going to hit dot, and it did what I want. I don't want Alpine, so I hit dot. AutoFS, BIF, find, blah, 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 blah. See if there's anything else in here that oh, go back up to Elm. I don't need Elm. Skip. So, I mean, this is just a nice way to it's half automated. I'm just hitting one key at a time, and I don't have to bother typing or editing much. I don't think there's anything else in here that I care to skip. Everything else is good to install. So, yep, and it wrapped around to the top again. So I'm done. All right, we're done with that one. After N is E. E is Emacs. I don't use Emacs, so I'm actually going to, and it's only one, so SKP. Done with that. T. is tex and ttex. I usually install tex live, and they conflict. So I want to. This is only 4, so I'm just going to cursor through this and do that. Now, notice I did the skips really fast. That's, again, I'm using the dot key. So at the first one, I did CW, change word, which means, whatever the word that I'm on is, I'm going to overwrite the whole thing. And I type my skip. And so then I just cursor to the beginning of the next one, and I hit the dot key. And it does the same edit. I mean, I love VI. It's just awesome. Gives you these really nice ways to do stuff. Okay, so done with T. Next one is XFCE. Again, I don't use XFCE, so I actually want to just skip everything in there. XFCE. Let's go to the top. Yeah, see, I don't want any of this. So I'm going to, again, first line to the end, last line, end of file, substitute, add $sign for the end of the line. So basically, I'm zeroing in on add at the end of every line, and I'm going to substitute it with, I'm going to put in skip instead. 26 on 26, so it found it once for every line, just as we expected, and made the substitutions. Oops, done. All right, XApp. This is all the the GUI applications. There's a mix here. There's some I don't want. There's some I do. So again, we're going to have to edit this one. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to use the technique that I mentioned before. I'm going to search for add, which I know I'm going to find on every line, but I'm going to use the N key to go line to line. And I don't want mplayer, so right away I'm going to do 2CW skip. So that gives me my skip. Now I'm going to use the N key and the dot key. That's all I have to hit. N key to go to the next one. I don't want audacious. Skip. Next, skip. Next, skip. That one's fine. Skip. And wrapped around back to the top. So, I mean, if I went too fast, you can just go pause the video or whatever and see all the ones I skipped there, if you care. Otherwise, you should get the idea of what I'm doing here. That should be enough. All right, X. I'm pretty sure, I'm just going to take a quick spin through it, but I'm pretty sure I want to keep everything under X. Let's go ahead and take a look. So in this one, I'm not even going to bother doing a search at this point. I'm just going to scroll through quick. So yeah, everything in here is, X kind of depends on most of this stuff, and it's just good to have. So I'm going to, yeah, I don't think there's anything in here I want to skip. So we'll leave that one tagged all good. Next one is A. There's definitely some stuff I want to skip in there. So let's go to the top, search for add at the end of the line, and let's start skipping through here. There's, 2CW :SKP. That's the first one I want to skip. I use Vim. I don't like Elvis. Elvis is a VI clone. I don't like it, so I skip it. I never use tape drives. Don't care about those. I actually skipped PCMCIA utils. I've only got one laptop, and no other hardware that I use has PCMCIA stuff in it anywhere. And if I really need to, like on my laptop, if I ever reinstall my laptop, I can always just install those packages manually. So in my tag set, I just skip them. This is an interesting one. So I think Riser FS in terms of merits versus, you know, quirks or trouble that you have with the technology, I think it's a wash. It's got quirks and stuff that I don't like, but it has some merits too. I mean, there's people that will rave about how awesome it is. So to me, it's a wash whether the cool stuff and the irritating stuff balances out. But the guy killed his wife. It's like, I don't know. There's just something, and not only did he kill his wife, but he did it in a really, sneaky, I mean, it's just scummy. And then the way he lied about it and covered it up, and it took forever to get him to admit it. And well, I suppose that's the way murderers work, I guess. But still, I mean, the whole thing, it just left such a horrible taste in my mouth. It's like I don't even want his stuff on my computer. I'm sorry, I don't care how good it is either. Like so, sorry if that offends anyone, but that's my thought on it anyway. All right. Is there anything else in here I care about? I'm the kind of person, or I think I've mentioned this before too. I will just refuse to use software just because it's not free. And by free, I mean freedom respecting. I mean, that's a pretty simple thing. That's a pretty, to draw the line there is, you know, it's not so controversial, I think. But here's a guy that murdered someone. It's like, it's not hard for me to draw that line there. So, yeah, everything else in here is fine. So I'm done. Then the Tickle programming language and the stuff that goes with it, I know I want all that, so I'll leave that one alone. And the last one is, these are just all application software that's not necessarily GUI or X related. So I'm going to look through that. I know there's stuff in there that I don't want to install. So we'll go to the top. We'll do our search for add at the end of the line. And then let's find something that we don't want. I'm okay with all this so far. I spell. That's someone to go 2CW : skip. I spell. There's nothing wrong with it. I just never use it, and it's kind of big, and so I just skip it. Now here's this series: Jed, Joe, Jove. These are editors that I'll never use because VI is so awesome. So there's that. I go back and forth on Midnight Commander. I'm going to skip it. You can always install it manually later if you really want to. Why most? Less is awesome. So most is a pager that and just like the program less, they're both plays on the word more, which more was kind of the traditional text pager for scrolling through text on screen. I've never found anything good about most. So less is pretty darn awesome. So I skip that. All right. Go back up. Nano, another editor. I don't even know why anybody bothers with it. Sorry, all you Nano fans. I don't get it. I just don't get it. All right. What else we got here? Okay, that was it. Done, and we're done. We have edited our tag files. And so, I mean, obviously you would do this for you. I now have a set of tag files that I can point the Slackware installer at, and it will install everything that I want and not install everything I want to skip, which is our goal here. So let's so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show how this tag file set is used. I'm sorry. Yeah, tag file set is used. I'm going to do it in a virtual machine. So I'm going to actually boot the virtual machine from the FreeSlack installation ISO, and then go through a quick install and show you how to point it to the tag set. Now, because I'm going to use a virtual machine, now what you would do is you would copy this whole directory tree, everything under work, to a thumbnail drive, or maybe burn it on a CD or what, how somehow you have to make it visible or available to the operating system during install time. So since I'm going to do this in a virtual machine, I'm just going to create an ISO file out of it and put the ISO file, present it to the virtual machine so the virtual machine can see it. So we need to make an ISO file. There's a command to do that, mkisofs. And here's some command line arguments for it. So let's see, I'm going to call the ISO Slack tags RK4 and 3 .iso. Okay, and I just know these options because I've used this a lot. So we'll do -l -r -allow leading dots. Allow lower case. Allow multi-dot. Okay, just a little explanation here. So allow leading dots. That means that if there does happen to be any files that start with dot, normally the ISO file system standard doesn't allow that, but we're gonna originally it didn't, but now it's able to, and we want it by default. It doesn't, so we want to tell it that we want, just in case there happens to be files that start with a dot, we want to make sure that the file system will support them. Originally, the ISO 9660 file systems were all uppercase. And so this option tells it to use kind of the newer abilities, which includes allowing lowercase in file names. Same thing with multi-dot. If you've got file names that have more than one period in them, the original ISO 9660s didn't allow that, but we can do it now. We just have to tell it. -J is Joliet extensions, which is, again, it's more capabilities of the file system type that it originally didn't have. We want to make sure that it supports them now. Longer file names, the original file system specifications didn't allow very long file names. So, and then this is the volume name to give the ISO file system. And then this is the directory under which the file system is going to be built from. I probably didn't need all these options for this particular one because the file names are short and simple, but just force a habit, and I just want the file system. These are all the options that I like on my ISO file systems, and I just always want to make sure I create them kind of the same, so they're all at least with the same capabilities. So that's why I'm bothering to put all these options on here. So let's go ahead and do that. It happened really fast. I have a new ISO right here, and that ISO has that directory tree with my tag file set in it. All right, so I think we're set. Let's let's just go ahead and demonstrate here. Oh, here's another thing I want to show you. I'm going to use the same kind of command. Yeah, let's do this. So let's make old DVD DVD in, no, let's make a DVD directory. Here, let's just remove the work directory. rm-rf work. Okay, and then let's make another work. Oops. Let's go ahead and mount our ISOs up again. So mount -o loop ro FreeSlack ISO on DVD, and let's do the same kind of thing. Slack tags on work. Okay, so now I have both ISOs mounted. There. So what I've done here now is I've just verified that the ISO I built does indeed have the directory tree with files that I wanted to build it out of. So that's a good piece of verification. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the same kind of command line techniques, and I'm going to do a sanity check, and I'm going to actually do across the directory trees here. I'm going to show diffs on the tag files, the new tag files I created. I'm going to show what's different. And I'm just going to scan through those just to make sure that it looks like it makes sense, that I actually made the changes I wanted to make. So, and this, I don't feel like I need to do this because I'm pretty confident in what I did. But sometimes when you're doing this kind of work, you may want to, at the end, you want to kind of verify and see, did I really get everything done that I wanted to get done? And does it look right? Just kind of a sanity check. So I'm going to show you how you can use these same techniques to do that. So let's start out with, this list is a good list to start with. So what I actually really want to do is I want to look at the differences between the new tag files I created and the original ones I created them from. So this is the list of my new ones. Let's use the same technique we used before. I'm just going to chop the work off, and that will give me this common piece that I'm going to use more than once. So let's do sed s beginning of the line dot / work / with nothing, and that gives us this type of list again. Type 2 sed s the entire line, and I'm going to use the diff program. Diff is a real nice program. It actually shows you the differences between two files. So I'm going to do diff. I'm going to use some options here. So Y is show me side-by-side diff. So it's going to show the contents of the files, the differences side by side. And now I'm going to set the width. The width, how wide I want the display to be. I want it to be kind of narrow because I know the lines are kind of short, and I kind of want to see them close together so I can really see what the differences are. So let's make this like 60. And then BD, ampersand, and work, ampersand. Okay, so what's this give us? It gives us our list and it constructs these diff commands out of the list. And again, I've got the one under the DVD mount, which is the original, diffed with the one under my working directory, which is the new one I created after and edited. So this is just going to show me side by side all these diffs of each file. I like that sequence of commands. I'm going to run it, see what we get. And what I've actually got here is a full list of basically packages. So let's just do a little bit of analysis. Okay, so here's one that in the original was marked as recommended, and we changed everything to add. Right? So this particular difference isn't actually one that we're interested in. We already know that this got changed to add. And same thing with the optionals. We did that on purpose. Okay? So now that I see this, I'm kind of like, okay, this this is really just showing me more than I want to see. I can explain why these differences are here, and I don't want to see them all. So there's other ones I want to see. So I'm going to filter this whole list here. I'm going to run the same thing, and I'm going to pipe it to grep skp. Actually, let's do :skp. Okay, and basically what this means is I know that there were no skips in the originals. I want to see the packages that I changed to skip, because I know that all the other ones are add, because we did that on purpose. So let's do that. Let's do this. All right, this is a much better list. Look at this. So now I want, see, and it's shorter too. So now I kind of just want to eyeball this, and I want to make sure that everything in this skip list makes sense. Do I remember, and it's like, yeah, we should remember that it was Elvis and the tape drive functions, PCMCIE utils, the riser stuff. See, we recognize all this. Here's the Emacs. Here's that stuff out of the development package. Oh, and then here's the KDE. No. Yeah, this is the KDE stuff, which there's a whole bunch of that. Yeah, this is still all KDE. Oh, here's the libraries. Here's the the regular applications. Here's the X stuff that I cut out. Here's XFCE. There it is. It's like, oh yes, I remember this matches exactly what I wanted. Just a quick way to verify. I'm satisfied. I like it. So I can umount DVD, umount work. There we go. We're set. All right. So I'm satisfied that I got everything I wanted done there. So next thing is, let's start up a virtual machine. I've got one kind of started out here already. I want to show you the relevant settings here. So, nothing to. Okay, here's one thing we got to do. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to change this to be the, wait a minute. Yeah, this is going to be the secondary master. This is the one I'm going to boot from, the virtual DVD drive. We're going to set that to be, oh, wait a minute. I'm actually on the wrong host. I need to copy here, hold on a second. Yeah, I'm going to set it to be FreeSlack. I need to copy my tag ISO to my other machine here. So give me 1 second here. Just correcting some permissions and ownership here. I don't need to be root here anymore. So ISO, let's I'm going to copy this Slack tags to my other host, which is Darkstar. That's where I'm running my virtual machines on. So there. Okay. Now when I go here, the ISO is going to be where I want it to be. All right, so this is the one I'm going to boot from. Now this is how I'm going to make, on the same controller, I'm going to make my tag set visible on another virtual, let's see. I got to select that and add a new optical drive. And it prompts me to choose a disk right away. There's my ISO. Let's go ahead and pick that. So now, when I boot this virtual machine, oh, wait a minute, hold on. It gave me, yeah. I actually don't want that to be primary slave. I want it to be secondary slave. There we go. And that's to ensure that we boot from the installation DVD. And then this is just going to be sitting in a second So this will be dev sr0. This will be dev sr1. When I'm ready, I can mount that up and point the installer to my tag set. So that's why I'm doing that. Now, just to repeat, if you were doing this on a regular machine, regular hardware, maybe you burn your tag set to a CD or a DVD, or maybe you put it on a thumbnail drive. Either way, or maybe you put it on a USB hard drive, whatever. Doesn't really matter. In some way, you're going to get that, plugged in, or the media visible to the operating system during installation. You're going to have to do that somehow. This is how I'm doing it for this virtual machine. So just that should be clear, hopefully. All right. So we got our settings set. We're ready to power this up. Wait a minute. Let's yeah, I think it's set. So let's go ahead and start this up. All right, installation. Good. That's the beginning of the installation DVD. So we're on the right track. And again, just a reminder, this is actually FreeSlack, which is our variant of Slackware that is all deblobbed and all the non-free software pruned out of it. You should check it out if you're interested at all in making sure your software is completely free, and not free as in free beer or as in not paid for. Free as in respecting your freedom. So this is the FreeSlack install. It's just like the Slackware. It just has all the non-free stuff pruned out. So, and the most important piece of that is the kernel. So it's the Linux Libre kernel. All right, so we're in here. Let's normally we would do disk partitioning. I'm just going to show you that I have a swap partition, a 2 gig swap partition, and a 16 gig RIP partition. It's set to active. This is a real typical type of disk partitioning scheme. And normally I'd also have a home partition, but this is just for demo purposes, so I'm not going to bother with that. All right, so our partitions are ready. We're going to do, let's go ahead and mount our, let's make a directory. Let's call it tags. Mount dash T ISO 9660 dash O read only dev SR1 on tags. ls tags. Oh, look at that. Find tags dash type F. Looks familiar. This is our custom tag set. So we're good. We're good on that. All right, now we're ready to go into the installation. First step, add swap. I'm going to zip through this. I'm sure you guys say no. I don't know how everyone else does their installs. Maybe you'll find this interesting. I usually zip through it pretty darn fast. Format, ext4, and it does go very fast. I love the, we're going to install from a DVD, auto. I love the Slackware installation because it's so clean, simple. And I'm not going to bother, or wait. Yeah, I don't even need to bother with this section at all. I'm just going to hit OK, and I'm going to go to tag path. Use tag files in the subdirectories of a custom path. So let's go there. Now you can read these instructions. They're very helpful. So it tells you the setup will look for your tag file in subdirectories of the path you provide, such as tag, path /a. So we know that our tag files are at /tags/Slackware 64. And then it's going to look for an A directory and an app directory and a D directory under this location. So reading these instructions kind of told me that. That's how I know that this is the path that I want to provide. And I know that I mounted it under /tags. So that's what we want. We hit OK. And there it goes. Look at that. I mean, I don't have to make any selections or anything. It's going to install everything that I want, and it's going to not install all that stuff that I told it to skip. And you can see it. I mean, it just flies through. It's real nice and fast. I'm guessing it's going to be like a minute, maybe here. I don't know. I'll just sit here and I should in post editing. Maybe I'll put some Jeopardy music or something here. We'll see what I get around to. I could cut this out, but I think it's kind of interesting to see how fast it goes. It totally skipped Emacs because I told it to. It's going to skip KDE. Does some libraries. They did a great job of making sure to have lots of, all the really great libraries that are needed for most software. The library coverage is just awesome. This release, more than any in the past, I found that I didn't have to install tons and tons and tons of libraries for all the software that I needed that I usually install. So big thumbs up to the Slackware team. Thank you for all that great work. Alien Bob, Eric Hamillers is real strong cornerstone of the Slackware community. I just read that he's getting laid off from his day job at IBM, so wanted to call that out. Sympathies, Eric, if you ever end up watching this. I doubt he probably will, but I'm just a nobody. But I can relate. I got laid off from IBM many years ago. I worked there for a while. Yes, we don't just talk about Slackware. We have all sorts of small talk. No, and we're skipping XFCE, and we're done with package installs. Okay, great. Now, I wanted to stick with this install demo here because there is one kind of what I consider an important critical piece at the end that I'm going to show you. So I'm going to skip making a USB drive. I'm just going to breeze through this, simple default kind of Lilo install because I'm going to do MBR. I like MBR because it's simple. I'm going to make it a USB mouse because it's a virtual machine. I'm not even going to bother starting the mouse at boot time. Who cares? Configure the network, host name, Slack, domain name. Use DHCP. Yeah. Looks good. All right. I'm going to stick with the default services. The most important one is SSH, obviously, I think. Everything else, It's fine that they've got. Again, great choices by the Slackware team. I mean, it's just real nice. Don't care about screen fonts at this point. No is the safe choice. I'm in the central time zone. I like TWM as a default. Just set a dumb password here. Okay, root password set. Now I have to reboot my system. I'm not gonna. It lets me, it actually lets me intervene here. Remove the install disk, fine. If I choose no, I will be dropped into a shell. That's what I'm gonna do. Because here's the important piece that I want to show you. I do not like using the huge kernel. I want to be able to swap out modules if I really need to. Like, and especially if there's a module that I need to replace with a newer version of it that supports some hardware that I really want to use or that kind of stuff. I don't want it compiled into my kernel. I don't want, to deal with that. I want my kernel to be as small and as modular as possible. There's one extra step that you have to take to use the generic kernel, which the generic one is where it's got a minimal amount of modules and other kinds of support compiled into the kernel, and as much as possible is, as modules that are loaded into the kernel at, after boot. So I really want to use that. So let's let me go through the what's in the boot directory here for a second. You can see the links, the system.map, the config link, and the VMLINUZ. The VMLINUZ is actually the compressed kernel image. The system.map, not really sure what that, I've never bothered to look too closely at that. The config is actually like a copy of the config that the kernel was built with. Can be helpful to be able to see that. Okay, so there's those basic links, and then there's another set of links. You can see system.maps, map-generic, system.map-huge. Those are just convenient ones that point to the full kernel images, the respective ones, the 4.4.14 images that you see there. So what we want to do is we want to change those links. So I'm going to rm system, just the plain links. So I'm going to remove these 3 links, and I'm going to recreate them as the generic ones. So there's the system map link. There's the config link. And there's the kernel, compressed kernel image link. So those are pointing to the generic versions of each of those. The next thing we need to do is we need to create an initrd. This is the really stripped down temporary root file system that is mounted during the boot time, so that the operating system has the basics that it needs to just get started running, and then that is then basically swapped out for the real root file system after the kernel gets far enough into the boot system or boot process. So that initrd, because we're going to boot from using the generic kernel, it doesn't have everything it needs in it right away. There needs to be some modules available to it to load for basic things like how to see the disks and and file system support and all that. So we need to create an initrd. And there's a real nice, easy way. And the whole reason I'm even getting into this is I want to show you the really nice, easy way to create the initrd so that you can use the generic kernel. There's a nice tool provided. And because we're not actually running the installed operating system yet. We're still running kind of off of the install. We need to use a tool called chroot. And what this does is it launches a program in a kind of temporary environment that is set up to look like the root is actually in a different spot. So our installed system is on this /mnt. The disk that our installed system is installed on is mounted under this mnt directory. So I'm going to use chroot to run this command as if the root and the environment that is, living in root is actually under /mnt. So I'm going to chroot /mnt, and then I'm going to run the program user share make initrd underscore command underscore generator.sh. What this is going to do is it does the work of looking and seeing what the kernel needs for for the hardware that we're actually on right now. And it figures out what modules the kernel would need, the generic kernel would need, in order to be able to boot given the environment that we're actually in here. And it tells you the make initrd command that you need to run. So we can see it here. So we need to do the same chroot, mnt, and then all we do is do this command that it told us to. So make initrd -c-k 4.4.14 GNU the root file system is ext4. The root file system is located on dev SDA1. The modules we need are JBD2, which is for basic disk access, MB cache, and the ext4 file system. We need to be able to use that while we're booting. And the initrd.gz, that's the compressed image of the initrd file system that we're creating. So we execute that. It does it. We now have our initrd. Now we need to simply make sure that Lilo knows that when we boot, that it uses that initrd as the the pseudo root file system to bootstrap from. So in order to do that, we need to vi mount etc lilo.conf. Skip to the bottom. Here's our entry for our boot, to boot from for Linux. I'm gonna insert a line here. And initrd is the keyword to identify what we're doing here, and give the path to that initrd file. Okay, that's all we needed to do there. We save it. Now we simply need to run Lilo so that it writes the boot record and puts everything in place to actually boot using this configuration. So again, we do chroot mnt Lilo. It does its thing, and we're all ready. I'm just going to make sure everything gets flushed to disk, and then I'm actually just going to shut, basically power off, because I want to look at the virtual machine settings, verify that our CDs and stuff are all out. Okay, so the machine's powered off. I'm going to look at my settings. Let's go to storage. Okay, see, I don't need this anymore. Let's start out by remove disk, and then let's actually get rid of it. Don't need it. And then the installer actually ejected the virtual DVD, the installation DVD. So we're good there. All right, we're all set. Let's boot, and everything should work, I think. Oh, booting. Look at that. FreeSlack, booted up, installed from a custom tag set. And you can see 4.4.14-GNU, Linux Libre kernel. Very sweet. That's it for this episode. I know it's kind of all my episodes are kind of long. Sorry if it's long and drawn out. I hope you found it interesting. I think my next episode is going to be one of my viewers asked for a comparison between Ubuntu and Slackware, and I actually happen to have been using Ubuntu a little bit lately, and so I think I'm going to put together that comparison for my next episode. So stay tuned for that. I'm not sure how long it'll take me, but I don't know. Hopefully within the next couple weeks, maybe a month or whatever. But thanks for watching. Leave comments, subscribe if you like what you see here, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks. Bye.